Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Paranormal Central, broadcasting live from the bottom left-hand corner of the Nevada Triangle in a city called Fresno, California. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Gonzalez. I am your host for the show. I'm also the founder of a group called the Sanger Paranormal Society. Been investigating the paranormal going over 14 years, so I'm just not up here talking about it. We are all living it. I have a team. Member of the team is sitting right there, Mr. Alan Thomas.
Hi, y'all. You're looking good. I can see you.
Bringing us in on the music, Mr. Ryan Vardalis, better known as Neon the Unknown over there. Thank you for showing up wherever you may be around the world. I appreciate it. We are broadcasting Sunday, 6 o'clock p.m. HD quality video on live stream and on Facebook Live at the same time. So hopefully you're not missing out wherever you are. We are also being broadcasted on Hulu through live stream. So if you have Hulu, you can watch us on your big screen, 80-inch, 60-inch, whatever you got. Just go to live stream on Hulu. Search
Hulu?
Roku, sorry.
Roku,
not Hulu. Roku, thank you. And search live stream and then search the Paranormal Central, and you can watch it live on your big screen wherever you are. If you have any problems, have any questions, just call Alan. So,
and they do.
Yeah. So again, appreciate you guys tuning in. We are broadcasting HD quality video so you can see everything on my face. Everything. Today, we are going to be talking about crop circles. One subject that we really haven't got into in the past years on this show, and I'm going to tell you why. Because we don't have them that very often here in the States. It's usually over in the UK. And, we've had them one time here, not too far away from us, in Gilroy, I believe it was. And we're going to talk about that with Patty Greer, for all those who don't know who we have on tonight, Miss Patty Greer. She is well known in the field of crop circles. She gets invited to all of the conferences, Contact in the Desert. She's with all the biggies. So just pull up her name and you can catch her at all these conferences all around probably the world. And so she is well known in her field. So that's why I want her on here, because, we're all students. We're all trying to figure out what the hell is going on in this world, whether it's, UFOs, Bigfoot monsters, and these crop circles. What are they? Who's doing them? Are they hoaxes? Are some of them hoaxes? Are some of them real? Well, I want to know from her. I want to know what she thinks. She has quite a bit of videos that she's actually put out, documentaries on crop circles, and she's won many awards on them. And we're going to go ahead and, there's a lot of crop circles that happened in the past. And I know quite a bit of them. I want to talk to her about some of those, and I want to know what she thinks they are, who's doing them. I can't say that they're all hoaxes. I think something, the way these things are being made, the crops are, the way they're bent in a way where they're not broken bent. And they say that the people are, with two ropes and a stick, are crunching them down and making all these. I'm going, yeah, really? If you look at these crop circles, the precision that it just, you need engineering, you need 90-degree angles and, geometry, and to do these things. And people say they appear overnight. So I think a bunch of guys with boards and sticks can't do them overnight. I just can't. I'm sorry, they can't. So who's doing them? Well, we're going to figure that out tonight, hopefully. All right, so we're going to get her on the phone at 6:30 in 30 minutes. Last week we had Mr. Grant Cameron. He went on for 90 minutes, which was awesome, because I've had him on before, and you give him the mic and he just runs. And that's what I wanted him to do, because I knew that if he ran, he would spill some of the stuff that a lot of people don't usually get to hear from him when other hosts are asking him questions. I'd rather him just spill his guts, and he did last week. Whether you believe him or not, that is up to you. But you got 90 minutes out of him, and that's pretty damn good for no commercials, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and continue now and get started because, like I said, in about 25 minutes, we're going to get a hold of Patty, and we're going to talk crop circles. All right, things have been happening around
California's favorite crop.
That's why I said that crop. Crop. Wait, what kind of crop are you talking about, Jeff? Not in your business. All right.
Hemp. We don't believe in the other stuff.
Yeah, whatever. Your eyes are red, dude. Okay. All right, let's talk about the stuff that's been happening around the valley for those who watch us. Oh, you know what? I've been having people emailing and texting me that I tuned in last night at 12 midnight to watch a show on the CW and nothing happened. What happened to the show? Well, for those who don't know, they stopped airing it because we stopped giving them episodes because I fired my production crew. And we're going to give them, we still owe them 6 episodes, and we're going to give that to them. We're going to start filming in September, and it's going to be the talk show format, the format that I have been wanting ever since the CW gave us 26 episodes because they liked this format, and they wanted us to go that way, and it didn't happen that way. So I'm making some changes, some good changes. And we're going to have what happened here? Okay. And so things are going to happen in a very, very good way. Trust me, you guys, okay? I'm not sad about it. Sometimes, you have to, certain things have to happen to figure out what's going on and make things better, and that's what's going to, and we're going that way. So the CW is not upset at us in any way, shape, or form. They are excited to get the new 6 episodes from us because they know that that it's being the executive producer. I am with my production crew. I'm going to give them the stories. I'm going to tell them exactly what needs to be done and how to do it, and they're cool with that. And it's going to be 6 damn good episodes, I guarantee you. All right. Now, for those who remembered last week we talked about it for the first time. On Herndon Avenue, north of Fresno, a rancher, he had a bunch of goats. 14 went missing. We found one in a spot where there shouldn't have not been one. We found it dead. Its neck was twisted. Its legs were broken. I actually retrieved the goat myself, and I have it right now in a top secret location.
Under his bed.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't tell my wife, but I tell her it's just me farting. But okay. So sorry, guys.
You can give her what everybody told me to get. What is it?
She's used to it by now, so she doesn't complain about the smell. Use
Vicks Vapor Rub. Put a little in your nose. You'll never smell anything.
This is the internet. I can do this, guys. So shut up. All right. All right. So, Sock Monkey's going to respond right now. I know she is.
Yeah, she already did on Facebook. I'm just kidding.
So, what we're going to do is with that goat is we're going to show the goat to a rancher who, for a living, they actually
say it.
They actually have goats, sheep, lambs, and whatever, and they bring them up for food. They kill them and all that kind of stuff. So he knows everything you want to know about goats. So we're going to take him the goat and we're going to show it to him. And somebody who knows anything you want about these type of animals, we're going to let him say, "Hey, you know how hard it is to break a leg like this?" When there's meat on it,
like when the neck. Mm-hmm. You imagine how strong. I mean, a goat's neck's not that long, but it's strong. Yeah. Can you imagine something being able to just go
right
like that?
Yeah. Now, when I went to go pick up the goat, I went by myself, and I went and no. Did you go by with?
Yeah, I went.
No, that's right. No, Alan went with me. Mm-hmm. And before we went there, I went to Vaughn's, and it's a plug for you, Vaughn's, and I purchased some chicken, some meat, apples, oranges, and a couple of corn on the cob. And I took the goat, but I left an offering. If something was watching me in the process, I did not want to die that night. So I left one of those crates with 4 chicken legs in it. Okay, so what I did is I peeled off the saran wrap and I exposed 3 of the legs, and 1 was still underneath the saran wrap, and I placed that down, and I just dumped everything right there. Right, I took a picture, and we left. I went back about 3-4 days later, and it's a shame that I can't show you right here, but what I'm going to do after tonight's show on Facebook on my wall, I will post the before and the after picture. What do you call the cart, the chicken that's put in? What do you call that? The
carton or
the carton?
Yeah.
Okay, you know that's
the packaging,
the styrofoam carton or whatever, right? Okay, so the styrofoam carton was moved 5 inches, and the 3 chicken legs that were in the top part that I peeled off were gone, and we found chicken bone left right there on the spot. So let's think about this.
It was where we think it likes to lay down.
Yeah,
actually,
the bedding.
Probably so like 15 feet from where the dead.
Not even that, dude. Like
maybe.
10, about 10 feet. Yeah, it was really close. So let's think about this. The apples, the oranges, all the fruits, the vegetables were left, not touched. But the chicken was. But what is bizarre to me is that if it was a dog or a coyote, it would have grabbed the styrofoam carton that the chickens are put in, and it would have tore it up. It would have, right, to get the chicken out. Whatever removed the chicken from the styrofoam carton did it with precision, meaning it only moved the carton 5 inches where it was before, and it was still in a square position as it was before, and the chicken was removed. But the last chicken that was still underneath the saran wrap was still there. The bones, some of the bones were still left behind, but it looked like somebody ate the meat off of it, leaving the bones. Now, if it was a dog or a mountain lion or a coyote, wouldn't they have eaten the bones and everything?
Usually.
Okay. So this thing, whatever ate the meat, left the bones. So think about that. Now,
you know, if it was a bird, they would leave the bones, but only when they can't pick the chicken up.
Exactly.
They would
Chicken's
have
heavy.
to put their claws on the packaging and then pull the chicken out.
And in that case, it would probably have the carton itself would have probably been in a different position.
Yeah, and pierced by the claws.
Sure. And if it was a dog or a coyote, again, there would be teeth marks all over it with it trying to get out. There was no teeth marks at all. Now,
because some of the saran wrap was still holding a piece of the chicken. You
Yes.
know what I mean?
Yes,
it wasn't like totally wide open. I think only one was where they could just pick it up without manipulating the package.
Right. Now, remember that, let's try to debunk this right now. Okay. Was it a person? Granted, the chicken was there for 2 or 3 days. It was already starting to smell. Mm-hmm. Okay. It started to smell. Would a homeless person eat it raw? Because there was no fire, nothing was made as far as, a barbecue or whatever. No. So I'm going to go ahead and pretty much dismiss a person, a human being.
They would have died.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't think about that.
Food
Again,
poisoning,
an animal, something with on all fours, a coyote. It would have torn apart the package and gone after the last piece of chicken, but it did not touch the last piece of chicken. This is not in the mountains, you guys. We're talking valley floor. We're talking Herndon and DeWolf Avenue, north of Fresno, California, you guys.
Like 1 mile from Clovis Community Hospital.
Yeah. All right. Now, yeah, trippy. So I'm going to, after the show, on my wall and on the Paranormal Essentials wall, I will go ahead and put a before and after picture of when I left it. And you'll see an apple on there that has been taken a bite out of. That was me. Every time I leave food for an offering, I always like to take a bite out of one of the vegetables or fruits and put it up and show if we are being watched. I like to tell whoever's watching us, who knows who it is or what it is, that, hey, I am leaving this. It's not poison. I am taking a bite, and I'm leaving it here for you. Okay, so don't freak out if you see the apple with a chunk taken out of it. That was me. The steak meat, you'll see 3 pieces there that are very rotten. It didn't touch that. It just touched the chicken.
That's weird.
That's it. All right. And again, it ate it right there in the bedding where we thought there was something was laying in a fetal position. And then afterwards, when we first found the goats, it was all dry, and then we come back and it's like blood is all over it, like, or so it's like, what? So this
and footprint. There was toe prints, I think. And the guy that owned the goats, he saw it first though, and he's like, "There's a footprint," and I looked at it. It looked just like a Bigfoot toe print, same size toes, and only half the print.
There's this very, very dirty old blanket dug into the dirt, half in, half out, okay? And whatever was laying down around this blanket, like if it was using it for warmth. You would have thought that if it was smart enough, it would pull the blanket out and cover itself with. But we're talking possibly a creature here who doesn't understand that. He just thought that this would be a good place. There's something very warm here.
It's like
and that's
something
what he,
soft to sit on while it munches whatever.
And that's what he did, or he
Yeah.
or she or whatever it did. It ate the 3 pieces of chicken right there and left some of the bones. Not all of the bones from those 3 chickens were left there, but one good sized one and a couple of them, and I'll show you that when I post the pictures after the show. So what do you think ate the chicken? I gave you the circumstances surrounding it, the before and the after. What happened, it just doesn't make any sense to me. This is not an animal that did this. Whatever took the chicken out of the carton used precision and fingers to remove the chicken, not, moving everything around.
See, and I'm thinking it wasn't really a Bigfoot, because I don't think they eat dead meat, first of all, like old, what do they call it, carrion or something. And they love fruit.
Right.
I mean, and Jeff put a bunch of fruit, and the fruit wasn't even touched.
It wasn't.
So, I mean, it's like, okay, because I was not leaning towards it was a Bigfoot. Now I'm thinking Wolfman, because they had to go over a 6-foot chain link fence to take the goat originally over there.
Right.
And,
Okay,
and that's a half a mile away from, where he's talking about is half a mile away from where the goats are missing.
Yeah. I don't know. So I'm going to leave it right there. The next thing I think that I need to do, now they're surrounded by orange trees. Now the orange trees aren't ripe yet. They're getting there. Probably in a couple of more months, I'm thinking.
Around November.
November, that long?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of cameras up in there, and we'll see what we can get on those cameras. Who knows? I don't know.
But we do know, since you did that, we know it's coming back. You know what I mean? Like, we had no idea if it was going to be there again, but since he put that there and it took the chicken and ate it right there, we know it's there. It's
still there.
Right? And there's a hawk, a big one. I thought it was a buzzard, turkey buzzard, because of how big it is, but it's a hawk.
Do you think the hawk took the meat?
You would find the claws where it would stand on the packaging and hold it down and then pull the meat out.
Okay.
So you would see claw marks on the packaging. I mean, they can't not. They wouldn't. Then if they didn't use the packaging or their claws on it, they would have had to shake the chicken, and then the packaging and everything would be all over. See it, but it didn't move. But this much.
Right. Yeah. It only moved 5 inches, guys. That's all it did, and it didn't move like. It was here, then it moved here.
Yeah, not
That's
much
it.
at all.
It's not like over here or the carton was over here. No, it was here, then it moved here. Okay, so whatever removed the chicken, they didn't want to disrupt, everything and put anything out of place.
Conundrum. It's called a conundrum. We don't know.
Yeah. So okay, so there you go. And we were with we talked with our psychic family last night, and she said her aunt has a friend. How this conversation came up, I don't know.
Well, where were we?
Well, yeah.
That's how it came up.
Yeah, well, what happened is she says that she has property somewhere on Fowler Avenue, and they have a Sasquatch on there. I'm all, what? What?
Yeah.
What? Okay, we're talking in town, guys. For those who don't know where Fowler Avenue is, go to Fresno, type in Fowler, and it takes you out to the country as well. Fowler also,
Fowler goes all the way to Selma.
No,
Kingsburg.
but Fowler also goes toward the levee.
I got Google Maps.
Dead ends right there.
Holy crap! Maybe that's where she has property. Maybe it's north, not south.
Could be.
Which would make so much sense. I never thought about it. I was thinking more south.
Fowler goes to a street called Elkhorn.
Which is... Yeah, but I don't think the Bigfoots are that way south. I think they're more north toward the levee. And can you imagine if she owns property that way toward the Copper Avenue and the levee? Holy crap, dude. That would make total sense. Hopefully she is trying to get us more details. She's already put the call in. She's waiting for the location. I asked her, I need to speak to your aunt's friend as soon as possible. I need to know where her property is at. Because if it's north of Fresno, oh my God. The pieces are falling into place, you guys. We're not talking the freaking mountains. Now, it just came out today that a body was found near Millerton Lake today. They're saying, well, it could have got hit by a car. They're always putting that type of, I don't know. But that's the only information they are releasing, is that body was found near Millerton Lake.
Kind of like where the foot was found?
Where the foot that I have a picture of was found. Could it be that body part of the foot? I don't know. But it's
I think it's fresh.
The,
it would be bones by now if it was from the foot.
Right. And also the girl with the web feet was found walking near Millerton Lake.
Yeah.
And that story just disappeared from the news.
Sure did.
You didn't hear anything about her ever again after we broadcast. So take that.
That's true, huh?
Oh yeah. So like I said, so much stuff going on down here.
Plus what we were doing last night.
Yeah, I mean
we were looking for something that was running through the oranges that was chasing people.
Okay, you know what? It's that time. Let's go ahead and get a hold of Patty, and let's get her on the phone. Let me go ahead and call her up, and let's pull up the number here.
One ring-a-dingy.
Area code 303. Where's that?
It was raw chicken, and it was, I think, 2 or 3 pieces, 3 pieces missing. The bones are still there, though. And man, CD, I wanted to go to Beachfoot.
Good evening.
Hello, Patty.
Hi.
Hi,
How
Patty.
you doing?
Most excellent. I saw you guys in the living room chilling out there.
Yeah, we are.
Can you hear us okay?
I can totally hear you. It's a nice set you've got there.
Thank you very much. Been
I'm
doing
going to pretend I'm in the room there.
Absolutely. One of these days.
Next time you will.
Well, let me tell you, when we
Yeah.
get a budget and sign up, go national, we'll fly you out. How's that?
In the meantime, I really like being home chilling with no makeup.
That's true. That's cool.
Yeah, no kidding, huh? So, well, thank you very much for coming on, Patty. The subject, crop circles, is something that we really haven't talked about a lot here.
But we love the topic.
Yes, and I want to tell you why. It's because we haven't found anybody that knows the stuff.
That's true.
Okay? And that's why I wanted you on. I want to talk your ears off about what is going on out there. I want to get your 2 cents, basically. But before we do that, I want you to introduce yourself to our fans in 168 countries that we broadcast, and tell everybody about yourself and how long you've been doing this, and go.
Well, I have surprisingly fallen into it quickly. In 2006, I walked into my first crop circle, and everything in my body lit up like a blowtorch. I'd never been so shocked in my life. Stepped backward, I was out of it. Stepped in, it was like, are you kidding me? And from then on, I just wanted more. So I've been in at least 100 crop circles. I've produced 8 movies on my own, won 8 prestigious awards, including 5 EVs at the International UFO Congress. So grown-ups actually really acknowledge my films. And what amazes me is that the crop circle conversation has so disappeared.
Right.
Because we were told that these 2 old guys with boards and ropes, made them all, so why don't you all just go back to sleep? And everybody did.
Right.
Well, what nobody talked about was the fact that there might have been 2 that night in England, 1 in Italy, 1 in Brazil. And so if perhaps Doug and Dave, the old guys with the boards and ropes, made them, well, then they're traveling at the speed of light anyway to make them in all those other continents, shall we say, and countries. So it's just so unbelievable that people actually are not even asking. And it took me until my 8th movie to learn why.
Why?
Wow, why, yeah.
Why?
Well, the big why, and this is the punchline. We'll just start with dessert, and then we'll work our way back. But the punchline, believe it or not, is that the seeds inside crop circles, when done properly in the lab, which was experimented with, and it's in my final film, Crop Circle Diaries, they proved to consistently grow 30 to 400% more food and biofuel with up to 75% more nutrition per plant. What happens in crop circles is they grow super seeds. And that, my friend, is why you are not hearing about crop circles, why I've been the most hacked UFO filmmaker in history, is because I'm the only one bringing the real science. So if you really want it, tonight is that night.
Wait a minute. Now, I just watched some videos of yours maybe like 3 weeks ago or something like that, and you had some awards behind you on a shelf, or
That was her.
Oh, and she talked about that, and everybody attacking you, like the government and stuff like that.
I never said the government, because it's not. Nope. It is, what we have is this dark media complex. But I don't want to focus on that, because your audience deserves the good stuff. That is the toilet, in my opinion, of ufology right now. Is that everything is being vacuumed into one hole that is just completely suppressing the good stuff. And I, unfortunately, was trusting of 3 different distributors who did exactly that, because my films don't have any misinformation at all.
Well,
I knew
was
nothing
impressed.
about filmmaking. I knew nothing about UFOs. I did no research, so I had no misinformation confusing me. I went to the crop circles and started being in them day after day, night after night. I mean, I was completely out of it going in at night. I was fearless.
Now, that's not cheap. Where do you live?
I live in Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
No, it wasn't cheap.
No.
It was a big investment. But years ago, I mean, I'm older, so I worked my whole life, but I got surprised by a dentist and poisoned by mercury fillings when I paid for white porcelain. So punchline is, I was dealing with a really bad case of mercury poisoning. That's another show. But in my desperation to heal, I was so crazy that I went and laid in a crop circle. So it was actually a bizarre reason that got me there. But ultimately, all of this, as I look at the roadmap of my life, had I not been probably in the red zone of mercury poisoning, I would have done a fraction of those completely insane things I did, like going into crop circles at night, like flying in little planes with no door on my side, filming. Not tomorrow, not today, but I sure did a lot of it.
Wow. Now,
She sounds like us, kind of like.
now the mercury. God, I have so much mercury in my mouth. one of these days I want to take it out of my mouth. What was the mercury doing to you?
Oh, don't even start me on mercury filling. That's another show.
Okay. Well, we'll call you back another time on that one. All right.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much documentation about it. The problem is that once a dentist puts you unconscious on nitrous oxide, they can do just about anything they want to you, and that's what happened.
Okay.
So, we really run the risk with medical industrial complex. It's an interesting thing that we are having this much regression of consciousness. So be very careful getting them out. The one thing I will say, only because you said that, a lot of people have mercury in their mouth. It was some, it's kind of like vaccines. They encourage it, but they know it's wrong.
Right.
Punchline is, if you live in America, there is one lab that'll give you the right test, and you can go online. It's called QuicksilverScientific.com.
Oh, you guys got that?
Okay. Well,
everybody?
Awesome.
QuicksilverScientific.com, and they offer the real test.
Sweet.
But if you go to your doctor and pay $300, and they'll suck your blood into a tube, and it's for the wrong blood test, which I'm really sorry to say is the wrong blood test.
Okay.
I have
So
a
we're
question.
being fooled a lot with a lot of things that we shouldn't be. One of them is, of course, shots, vaccines, baby vaccines. Oh my God, don't start me. And it's the mercury. But then these fillings. It's like, punchline is, you can get the real test and then you can start detoxing, but it is very dangerous. And when you get your silver fillings out, you want to make sure that you go to a doctor that's working in, and I swear to God there's a difference, new paradigm thinking, because dentists are doing the old school way, they'll repoison you. So you need to work with basically new paradigm dentists that would never put mercury fillings in anyone, and they know how to take them out. So be really mindful, be really careful
Okay.
if
Hey,
you do
Patty.
that.
All right.
But I had gotten the wrong blood test for 7 years. I still believed my doctors.
Right.
So, we're in a system where we have to be smarter than the average bear. And once I got the fillings out and I did a lot of detoxing, I still had a really hard time healing. So I went and laid in a crop circle. And really seriously, from the first one I walked in, I felt changed. And it never went away because the frequencies in crop circles are so different than anywhere else I've ever been. And right when you walk close to a crop circle, within 10 or 20 feet, the hair goes up on your arms. I get tingles head to toe, chills on the top of my head. I mean, you can feel it. And you're not even there, you're just close. Oh, you guys would friggin' love it. Ooh.
Okay, so you can tell then just by that what the fake, a hoax, and not a hoax is as far as the crop circle goes. You can tell,
You could tell by feeling it, sounds like to me.
right? You are now experienced, or where you can probably get to 20 feet to a crop circle, and you can tell if it's a fake or not a fake. Then, correct?
Yes, it's like an umbrella that goes beyond the formation. And the last time I took a boyfriend with me, he told me straight out, I'm not going to pretend. And I said, hey, not to worry. So we get in the umbrella. We weren't even in the formation. You couldn't even see anything yet. And I could tell. I was just like, boom! And I could feel the hair going up on my arms. And I got little teeny hairs because I'm a girl. But as soon as I took a few steps into the shift of frequency, the enhanced electromagnetic field, literally, I turned around and looked at him, and he had his arm up and his eyes were the size of watermelons, and he was shocked because his 3/4-inch hair was standing straight up at attention. It was hysterical. So, yeah, you can really feel it if you want to or not, if you're experienced or not. You just have to be basically alive and breathing.
Was
and
that in
willing
Colorado?
to be sensitive.
Probably the UK.
Yeah, where was this crop circle that this
I go to the UK. There's an area called Wiltshire, which is southern England, and it includes Stonehenge and the Avebury Stone Circle in this epicenter, and also Glastonbury.
Okay. So
So
why?
you've got the whole area laced with sacred sites that people have walked across, pilgrimages of people walking across Europe for thousands of years to these stone circles and these burial mounds, and they do ritual and ceremony, and the energy there is so powerful, and the sacred sites are just everywhere. And this is where they've had more crop circles documented than anywhere else on Earth.
Now,
So
that
that's
was
where I go.
my next question is, why the UK then? Is it because of all the sacred sites?
Two reasons. Good question. 90% of the documented crop circles, which are in all different continents, it's not like just England, but this area within 40 square miles of the Avery Stone Circle have had probably 50 or more percent since the 1980s. So when you've got 150 to 177, which is what we averaged the years I was going, 75% of them, 50% of them, about 75, were in Wiltshire alone. I mean, it was awesome. I would wake up, go to the research center first thing in the morning, and there would be 2 or 3 at the peak of summer, which is June and July, when the wheat and the corn and the barley are up. I mean, can you imagine waking up and finding out that you have 3 to go see in a day?
Wow. So, okay.
Yeah, it is so exciting. And it's like a treasure hunt because the directions are not like generic GPS. Basically, you go to, Hatbrook Farm, and you look for a broken tree branch and climb over the fence and then count 5 tractor lines, which is tram lines where the tractor tire goes to water the fields. Count 5 tram lines and walk in and just keep going. It's like you're kidding. So you're walking in this huge flat field of wheat. You have no idea, and you just keep going. And sometimes it feels really futile, and you can totally miss it if you're in the wrong tram line. And directions are that vague. It's not like GPS or somebody flying above you. Okay, turn left. Mm-mm.
Wow.
I mean, they're getting more, people are flying drones, so, we're getting a few more people sophisticated, but I never had that. I was always on the ground.
Right.
But the fun thing was, and I don't mean to be a sissy, but, I'd kind of be glad if I could see one bobbing head. If somebody beat me to it, it's like, oh, good, there's a human.
Okay, so in your opinion, what are these crop circles? How long have people been finding these crop circles? I mean, how far back do they go?
Well, they've been documented since the 1700s. Do you remember that newspaper sketch of the devil circle? And they had the mowing devil, and they made it all negative and scary. That was the same as, I think, 1700s. And that was the first documentation. But the real consistent documentation has been, since I know, since the 1980s, banging out the documentation because people really took notice. So it's been going on for hundreds of years. It's just people haven't done the archiving. People haven't taken the time. So now we have people taking the time. And I will mention those names because it's really great to go to the archives. I mean, my website is cropcirclefilms.com. I've got 8 movies, and they're just straight out organic, being in the crop circles, what it's like, who's really in there. And that's what I did. It wasn't like I had any script or brought in anybody to act. All I did was film the people that were in the fields with me day after day, the real croppies. And that's kind of a weird nickname, but, that's what we were. And I think I was probably more hardcore than most because I came so far, like from Boulder, Colorado. So a lot of the locals and the people from Europe, if it was raining, they just chill out and drink coffee at the research center. Whereas if a report came in and said, hey, there's one over behind the barge, Simple Circle came in one day and we saw a picture, there's just 3 simple circles, and everybody's like, nah, it's raining, I'm not going. So, of course, I grab my rental car and I'm off. And I'm behind the barge, and I've got these huge rubber boots, my wellies, so I'm sloshing out. And I get out there, and it's 3 simple circles. And it's pouring rain, so I've got my big, huge, old-school camera under my tarp. But in the middle of those circles, there was silver metallic particles. And it was reflecting in the light of the clouds. And I was like, woohoo, what is that? So when I was done, taking photos, I went back to the research center, and the owner of the center said, "You're kidding, you saw that?" He hands me a spoon and a bag, and Baggy had begged me to go back. I never heard what it was, but I remember he was quite excited.
Wow. You didn't keep...
I was just, like I said, completely fearless.
Right. And you didn't keep any for yourself?
No, you don't travel. Yeah, no, I wasn't going through customs with that.
Oh, yeah.
No kidding. No, that would have went off. Okay, so what the hell are these things, Patty? I mean...
What the hell are these
I
things?
mean, seriously. I mean, come on. I want to know what they are.
Okay, well, I'm going to get to the punchline again, which is...
No. I mean...
It's actually not a UFO woo-woo anything. This is the only alien phenomena that has physical evidence that's beyond dispute. Crop circles are a physical phenomenon, and they're actually coming out of the earth. This is true, and they discovered it in the lab of William Levengood and Penny Kelly for the last 16 years of his life. But he was this great scientist, wrote more research papers in honored magazines than anybody else in his field. And he was into plants and seeds and soils since the 1950s, but when he discovered crop circles, seeds, and nodes, and all these anomalies in the 80s, it was all he did. Nobody has told the truth about William Levengood other than Penny Kelly, who actually worked with him in the lab. And nobody ever met Penny Kelly until I did in 2014. And how she and I were brought together was the weirdest dang deal. But the punchline is, I went for 3 days to go to William Levengood's wake a year after he died. And at that point, I stayed 3 weeks and made the movie Crop Circle Diaries, because Penny and I just completely astounded each other, because I'd been in all these crop circles, but she'd been studying all the research in the lab, and she'd never been in a crop circle. And I had never, of course, done what she had. And as we compared notes, it was the answer you are looking for. So here it is. And I'm just going to give you the punchline of their research. Crop circles are coming out of the earth in counter-rotating, spinning tornadoes, which are called vortices of plasma. So we've got pairs of spinning plasma tornadoes coming out of the earth. So initially, they're coming out of the earth. They're not coming out of the sky, which is really shocking to think of. Almost all crop circles I mentioned initially are sitting over a ley line. We discovered this when we mapped them out, push pins. They're all sitting over a ley line. The other thing about crop circles all around the world is that they're sitting over an aquifer of water. Well, this area of southern England is a huge salt aquifer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So water, then, is another element of all crop circles. So now we've got vortices coming out of the ground, out of the mother, which is actually a living being. The earth is a living being. She has trees, we have hair. She has blood, we have oil. Is her blood. And so here we are doing all this, shall we say, damage and all this other fracking and all. And she's sending out these messages constantly for a very long time to communicate, and always sending it through the water, spinning these communications. And always the water is included. So these messages then go out into the water, or I shouldn't say messages, that's too woo-woo, these spinning plasma frequencies. But they're very intentional. They're predetermined, which you'll understand in a minute. And then, boom, they come out of the earth. Now, occasionally, human consciousness is involved as well. Basically, mass mind consciousness of humanity. That frequency is also part of these spinning plasma vortices as they come out of the earth through the water. It includes us. So now you've got this opportunity also of these spinning vortices being laid down as whatever they are, pictures, pictograms in the fields, you also have, who else would see them? Anything flying over, such as other dimensionals, alien, ET, whatever you might say. And so what we have here is an opportunity really for all of us to be co-communicating, and that is what crop circles turn out to be, because some crop circles, we have absolute evidence that they are planetary systems. Now, perhaps they could just be an answer to somebody's scientific question, but on the other hand, what if an alien group was flying, an ET, I hate the word alien, what if an ET group was flying over and they couldn't find Jupiter and they said, hey, Earth, you know, planets communicate, they're conscious, they're living, so they communicate. So here we have the possibility that I think a lot of these crop circles could be communications that are co-communications with the Earth and other dimensionals coming through with the water. And then we're a part of it too because we're here. So when they dissected these spinning plasma vortices in crop circles, they found that they had, like I said, all these different layered frequencies with distinct boundary conditions. And she named some of them as thermogradients, ion-electron avalanche frequencies. I mean, these were different layers that were intentional and blended together to actually create a hummingbird in the field, or a binary code in the field, or, you know what I'm saying, like some specific piece of information emblazoned in a field, which is called a crop circle. So ultimately what we have here is a co-communication between the earth and water, and it's gone out into the water because those frequencies spun out. They can't help it. But when they come through to the earth, they're spinning, and what humans have spotted, which I have films of, but I didn't shoot it myself, balls of light creating a crop circle. You guys have seen it, right?
Oh, yeah, seen that.
Okay. So in my final film, Crop Circle Diaries, you guys have to see it. Not only do I have the famous footage where you see those balls of light spinning the crop circle down, but I have the original footage of that. And the only guy sitting there with a wall of gear saying, I dissected this footage frame by frame, and it's real. And he just nails it, and, you know, but then because somebody famous had told the world, oh, that's fake, I went in and we proved it's fake, so go back to sleep, and people actually believed it was.
Right.
So then I say, well, you know what? Only because there's a, here I proved it, I think, and here's this nice guy that said, no way. Here's one in France. So I threw out one more in Crop Circle Diaries that nobody has seen, hardly at all. And it just was this bizarre thing somebody sent me of two balls of light creating a crop circle in seconds. So it's, you know, but we've seen other people display photos of balls of light moving over fields of wheat, but these two in particular, showing the crop circle going down, is exquisite. And I do believe I just got a third one that I posted. So it's everywhere. The question is, what are these balls of light? So Penny Kelly described their research with plasma physics is that at the base of these spinning vortices, the base of a vortex of all these spinning plasma frequencies, when it hits the exact right pitch or frequency to lay down that crop circle, these two balls of light send a binary code that's instant, and the field goes down in seconds. And the only reason I say that is because I found it in my first film, showed it 3 times at the top of my fourth film, and still nobody will acknowledge how real it is. I can't believe those two old guys with boards and ropes convinced everyone the crop circles are fake. I swear, people still have no idea how important they are, how magnificent they are, how the hair stands up on your arms, how they're not fake, how there's 8 movies that completely tell you the truth, and the final one tells you the science, but there's no distribution for the really good stuff. So, again, Crop Circle Films with an S.com. The final film, Crop Circle Diaries, is the ticket, because the evidence is just everywhere. And the evidence is the biophysical evidence that happens to the plant. Have you guys seen those images of the nodes, the big blown nodes and the elongated, stretched ones?
Yep.
In fact, that I was going to ask you, like when you were talking about the silver particles, if it came from inside the Earth, and where did those come from?
Well, we have Earth and we have sky. I mean, the crop circles, like I said, frequencies from all, but it could also be matter from all. I did feel like, you're right, that's such an interesting question, thank you. Penny said they found iron ore, iron oxide on the leaves, and they peeled it off, and it matched the shaping of the leaf. And in the lab, and they were like, wait a minute, how could molten iron ore mold to this? It has to be 1,200 degrees. How could that be floating through the air in the middle of a wheat field in the middle of the night? And you're right. Where did that silver stuff come from? I don't know. But it wasn't the golden iron oxide. It was silver, and it was wet. So it just looked like silver liquid. Oh my God! Sometimes did I really do that? Damn it! But the movie's reference, it could be because I, touched those things. But I didn't touch it. I just spooned it into a bag.
I know it's it's impossible to know exactly everything. I mean, that's why we do this, and we there's all these things and we don't know, and that's why we go. So I know you don't know all the answers. That's why you're doing that. You're trying to find out just like we are. But that is really a trip, I think.
What I know is that I didn't ask for this on purpose. I didn't know any of this stuff. And in my final film, I just threw it down because I met Penny Kelly, and she looked at me with every one of my completely weird stories that I would never tell my family. Are you kidding? They think I was nuts.
Yeah,
and she looked right at me, and she goes, well, that's just normal. That's perfect. Well, of course, a blue ball of light. And she just everything had an explanation. Everything was correct. And all of a sudden I was feeling really rational about, I definitely know it wasn't my imagination, but walking into a crop circle late at night and all of a sudden looking down and being covered with white polka dots on my black lace skirt and little sleeveless top. I'm covered with these big white things, and I had no idea. And my friend went down a normal way to walk in the crop circle like most people, but I went, a shortcut. And I got to the middle really quickly, but I looked down. I was like, what the heck is that? And then one started moving toward my face, and I went, oh, I am covered with white. I could just see in the twilight the size of tarantulas. I was covered with them.
Oh my
so
God.
I did some of the strangest things and lived, but that was the peak. And I remembered standing in the middle of a crowd circle, and I was arms to the sky going, oh, God, this is so great. Why is my skirt so heavy? And I looked down. It was like, oh, shit. But I was so calm.
I would have set myself on fire.
I slid my skirt off. The worst was my shirt was mock neck, so I had to take it over my head. Oh, but I lived. And the amazing thing, though, is I stayed totally calm, laid the clothing on the ground, and in the twilight, it was dim. I could just see them moving away into the wheat. I guess I walked through their web, but when I went online, I couldn't find a darn thing that said white giant spiders. I couldn't find them anywhere. So Penny, of course, in the movie said, well, I don't think they were spiders after all. I'm like, oh, geez. So when I tell you I was pretty fearless, thank you, Mercury, there's something good about it, but on the other hand, it definitely is not a good thing. But I used it well. And, we have to figure out how to make lemonade with the lemons, but I also think there's this interesting purpose on the other side of that surrender,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so...
Like this.
Okay, now let's go back. Crop circles. I have seen many photographs, videos Like you said, there is stuff, animals, data, alien faces, the face of Mars. So the ones that are like the face of Mars, for example, is that one a hoax?
You know, I haven't studied that one, but the other two you mentioned, I have studied, and I loved it that you went right to them. So the Mars one, it's interesting you say that, because weren't there two, and as they overlaid, you could really see it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought it was the Shroud of Turin. I mean, people thought it was Jesus. So there's all these interpretations. That would be my answer. There's all these interpretations.
Right.
I wasn't in it, so I can't tell you if it was real or if it had biophysical anomalies. That, to me, is how you can tell if it's an abnormal or earth, water, us, and potentially other dimensionals, but not always, frequencies. But it is always earth and water. So that's what's interesting. I didn't know that, and most people don't either. You know, they want to think all these things, but scientifically, and how I say scientifically proven, was that William Levengood and Penny Kelly researched the differences of the magnetics and of the energies that hit these stalks of crop, and they measured the center 5 feet out, 10 feet out, and out and out and out, and then they went outside the formation to see some wheat that was not affected at all, but near the field. And that's how they measured the effect that it had on the wheat, how far the spin was. And when I say spin, that's what it looks like in a crop circle, is like something in the middle had this spin to it, which is the spinning plasma vortex, and it comes up, and it goes, and in one fell swoop, it sweeps the crop down. It's really beautiful, it's really quick, and it's in one smooth movement.
She has me wanting to go lay in one now. Seriously, I want to go lay in one.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty lovely, got to tell you. The interesting thing is that I was always drawn to the center to lay, and you don't want to put your head on the centerpiece, of course, but you sure want to be close to it, so you kind of nestle up to it. But what I learned from Penny and Lefty's work, Lefty is William Levengood, was they found that the energies were stronger on the outer perimeter of the circle rather than the center, which I never was attracted to anywhere near as much, but other people were. So, you know, we all kind of pick what we like, but yeah, you'd really enjoy it. And the next best thing is probably my first movie, The Wake Up Call. Anybody listening? Because it's an hour and a half of just going in crop circles and going in the stone circles and meeting the most interesting druid that are the keepers of the stone. Oh, my God, Terry Dobney. He's so deep druid, and he invited me to his home, and in his living room is his Harley Davidson taken apart. You know, I mean, gardens that grow food forever, houses with vines on the wall, but cave will be caveman, and it was pretty humorous. But when he took me to the stones, he could tell you the history and the story of every stone. And the thing about these stone circles, the Avebury stone circle that is the epicenter, you asked why England. So the first thing I told you was the ley lines. But the punchline is the Avebury stone circle is even larger than Stonehenge and even older, but who knew? Nobody talks about it. So it sits in this beautiful location where 3 underground streams meet in the center of the stone circle. So remember your water element in crop circles. This is a beautiful magnetics for the vortex. You've got 3 underground streams meeting in the middle of this stone circle. And the 2 most powerful ley lines on Earth, they call them, the Michael and Mary lines, cross on 2 places on Earth, and one of them is literally at the edge of the Avebury Stone Circle. So, I mean, what better place? And year after year, the same fields get hit with 1 or 2 or even 3 new crop circles in East Field, which is, who knows, I'd have to guess how many acres, so I won't. 3, 4, 10, 20, I don't know. But the field always gets hit with a few crop circles in the summer. Milk Hill, there's, trying to think of the Golden Ball Hill, Avebury. I mean, there's areas that repeatedly get hit because they're sitting on a vortex, an energetic ley line. I mean, it's just power points everywhere there. And the people are also very ritual, very ceremonial, and they still dress like Druids. Oh, it's beautiful.
Do you
It's
think?
a whole different thing.
Do you think that the locations of these crop circles, if we found a way, would it take us, like you said, those vortexes, possible stargates, allowing us portals, allowing us to go into other dimensions in those areas? If the frequency is so,
Good question.
there's a movie called Outlander on HBO. My wife loves it, involving stones and going into different dimensions. Have you heard about people appearing in these crop circles and disappearing?
I have seen every minute of Outlander. High five to your wife and tell her, yeah, girl. Yeah, Outlander is magnificent, and the moving through space through the stones is a magical touch in the film that I totally related to. I don't know anybody who's done it, but I certainly know a lot of the people that have spent an awful lot of time, especially at Stonehenge. I'm friends with the Archdruidess of Stonehenge. She and I went in my very first and her very first crop circle together, and we've been friends ever since. She spends a lot of time and has for decades at Stonehenge, and yeah, there's so much magic there. And when I took photos, I was there, last time I was there was 2014 for the summer solstice. And I was there for the sunset, and all the photos I took had these huge orbs over the stones. They were just beautiful. And then we drove slowly across the countryside to the Avebury Stone Circle for sunrise, and they had this gong ceremony, and it was just breathtaking to be a part of it because they really bring the magic, and they're working with the earth. They're not reaching to the sky and going, God, and titles of names and, gurus. They're working with the earth energies, and they're sitting in these stone circles. And the stones themselves are what? They're sarsams, these huge megalithic stones that sit 20, 30 feet above the ground also are 10 or 20, 30 feet below the ground.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
what are they made of? They're like a high percentage of quartz. And what's quartz? A high-frequency communicator. A communicator with who? Well, gosh, they don't have any limits, kind of like crop circles. So here we have this co-communication of crop circles that's now laid in a field, and you've got a rising phoenix with flames coming out of the tail, crop circle. And everybody looks at it that flies over in a commercial plane. Oh, my God, look at that, What's that? It's a crop circle. Here goes the farmer. He's out in the field. Oh, dang, there's a crop circle. Got a bunch of wheat laid down. And he doesn't even realize he's got this masterpiece of this co-communication between all of us. And who knows what the message was? Oh, wait a minute, I do, if I may be so bold. Do you guys remember in 2009 we had a summer that was all birds, fish, and insects? And I'll remind you of a few exceptional ones.
Of the depths?
The dragonfly with the veins and the wings.
You're talking about the crops.
Crop circle
Yeah,
with the-
I remember the dragonfly. I do remember that one.
Oh, the crop circles were those.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was incredible. Do you remember the octopus with the long tentacles?
not me. My wife is pretty up on the crop circles. She would probably going to message me right now. I showed you this picture. How come you don't remember this one? But no, that I don't remember. I do remember the dragonfly one. But
Well, I'll tell you, the season before 2009, which was the summer of 2008, and I was filming like a banshee. Without knowing it, I actually filmed 3 movies in 2008. I didn't even come back in 2009. So we had birds, fish, and insects. And when I say birds, I mean there was a hummingbird, there was a thunderbird, there was a phoenix, and they were undeniable what you were looking at. There was a cluster of swallows. There was really specifically birds. And then there was this squid that was clearly symmetric and amazing. And then there was this octopus 1,500 feet long with tentacles. And all these ocean creatures. There were dolphins swimming in a circle. And clearly we had the ocean represented and the birds. And we also had the scarab and the dragonfly. So we bring in the insects. But we bring in the ancient one. So when we had the fish, we brought in, I think it was like a trilobite, something that was hundreds of millions of years old under the ocean, in the ocean. And so we had, a real strong presence of what the heck are they telling us? Because that's what I'm thinking. If a crop circle has that much of a consistency, it wasn't mathematics. It wasn't a summer of binary codes or sacred geometry. It was pictograms. Pictures of birds, fish, bugs. And the following spring, 6 months later, we were hearing all those stories about the birds falling from the sky, fish coming up on the beaches, and then bang, the BP oil spill gets announced, and millions of these beautiful creatures died. Birds, fish, and insects died.
never thought about it that way. The bees,
Well,
especially the bees.
There was a bee crop circle also.
There you go.
Absolutely a bee crop circle. So there's a website called temporarytemples.com. It's Steve Alexander. He's in the UK. temporarytemples.co.uk, I think. He is the greatest photographer, and he has archives of all the years, and you can buy anything from him, photos that you want to download or calendars. He does amazing photos, but he flies in helicopters. He is the guy that I paid for Crop Circle Diaries because I wanted really exceptional footage. And, in a helicopter, it's just like smooth as silk. Here I am in the microlights, in the wind. And, but I did a pretty good job for somebody untrained who just couldn't get enough of the crop circles. But, again, when you go in with that innocence, and I don't want to say that I shouldn't say ignorance, but I think it made the movies extra special because there was no pretense. There was no misinformation or misguidance to step in with. It was just all experiential. And I'm going to mention my website again, which is cropcirclefilms.com. And there's 8 movies, and they're all pretty darn interesting, filmed in the crop circles with the people, like I said, that are the real experiencers, not reporters or second, third hand, which for me I think is where you get the really juicy stuff, the people that aren't out to impress or that are paid, but the ones that are actually there laying in crop circles with me.
So why do you think the governments of the world are trying to hush the crop circle phenomena? I mean, you're saying that it's from Earth. Do you I'm gonna go back to aliens a little bit here. I know you're saying it's not aliens. It's our Mother Earth telling us what to be aware of what's going on. You don't think it's something else underneath us that's doing this?
Well, underneath us is the Earth, but I didn't say it wasn't. You say alien, I say other dimensionals or ETs.
Okay.
No,
okay.
ETs are definitely included in many crop circles.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've had some that appear to be like some species flew over and asked a question to the Earth. They communicated, because planets communicate. And what we're learning about is that this is about plasma. And this is what they don't want us talking about, because plasma technology, understanding plasma, is where we're going to be really moving forward. And plasma is what's going on in crop circles, but they're spinning plasma in a counter-rotating spin, and as long as they do it specifically and intentionally, they are creating crop to not only lay down and perform, into a pattern, but also to accelerate the growth and quality of the seeds. So I remind you that the seeds inside crop circles, but it wasn't until William Levengood found a packet that had dried up on the side of his desk that were 6 to 8 weeks old and shriveled, and he was going to throw them away, but that little voice said, don't throw those seeds away. So he put them in the germination chamber, and sure enough, they blew his mind. But that was the magic, was that they had to be starved of light, starved of water, and forgotten for a certain period of time to behave like the ultimate punchline, which was the seeds grew like banshees. And they performed by creating 30 to 400% more yield per plant, with up to 75% more nutrition per seed. And too hot, too cold, too wet, too dry, they still had super seeds.
Wow. So you don't hear the farmers complaining about that or bragging about that, really. You know that?
I don't think they know. They do know that they have better plants. I do believe that they have better yield, the following fields, but they haven't noticed it up to 400% more.
I mean, it would be like in weight. Like I used to grow earthworms, and I started off to grow it for bait, but couldn't sell them, but only wound up selling the castings, and that's what castings do, 150% more harvest, right? More bigger fruit, more of it, and the farmers noticed like right away, when they put it on their grapes and stuff. So those guys, they have to know that. They have to, just because of, unless it happens all the time, you know what I mean? Like every season they're weighing their crop and taking it in there. So, man, that's a trip.
I have an
So
naive
can you
question.
imagine in countries where it's too hot, too cold, too wet, too dry,
Yeah.
they had the ability to create seeds where that didn't matter. That's what we have here, and I think that's why they're hiding it, much like free energy. So, I, Patty Greer, have a 27 Indiegogo funding drive to get this damn technology out to the world. And I know it's possible, but what we need is people to start caring about the next, the new. And that's what this work is about. It's not about rehashing old UFO crash stories that I can't prove. This is crop circle science that's not woo-woo. It's actually proven science. End of story. It's proven. And the evidence is there. And boy, the way they suppressed William Levengood, pretty similar to what I'm tolerating today. But the punchline is the films are made, people can see them, and they're getting out. So it's pretty fun. I do a lot of radio shows, and that's really the way we're going to save the world, you and me.
Yep.
You guys you guys in your living room there, bringing people to talk about the truth. That's how we're going to change things. It's not going to be the newspapers or TV. It's going to be us, the new generation of the Internet.
Yeah, the people out there now they read something really quick on Facebook and they believe it. They believe it on internet. The people of the world they're not thinking for themselves anymore. Other people are making them. There's the dumbing of the world. You know what I'm saying? It sucks that we have to do this, and people that watch our shows are finally getting the truth. But unfortunately, there are still millions and millions of people who who watch the news and whatever they say, they believe, and it just scares the shit out of me. But yeah, I
he
mean,
has a question.
oh yeah, Ryan has a question. Go, Ryan.
Hi, Patty. This is a naive question, but I was just gonna see how long do these crop circles last for? Like, once they're there, are they just there forever, or did it just, you know what I mean?
Well, the thing about a crop circle is it's a farmer's crop.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's ripe, the farmer's going to mow his field in August. First couple weeks in August, they're going to, mow their wheat, and they're going to bale it up, and they're going to sell it. So that's when crop circles go away. Now, some of the farmers were smart enough to make crop circle bread and crop circle beer, but I don't know if they didn't do much with that.
Yeah.
But I don't think they realized the benefit. Unfortunately, they're also, I don't want to say the word poisoning, but poisoning a lot of the wheat in crop circles.
Right, yeah, they are. That's why I like the worm thing, because it wasn't poison, it was, straight up Mother Earth stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's what this is against, and this is about the solution. When we get rid of the letting them poison all of us, that's when we're going to need technologies like this. And that's what my work is about, is moving into the next. It's about solutions. I went to the Breakthrough Energy Movement conference, which is all the people doing the free energy, the 3D printer, and sustainable communities. And I took my camera, I filmed everybody, and that movie's called The Shift Has Hit the Fan. And it's the next. It's the new. It's like, wait a minute, it's already here. But we need to start promoting the right stuff, what we don't want, which is everything they're showing us on TV and what we think the Congress is doing. And we want to focus more on how can we bring in these new technologies. And it's by supporting the right people and by getting behind them with some power and getting, officials to start recognizing that if they like real food and they don't want GMOs and they want to quit hearing the excuse, oh, I'm gluten intolerant. No, you're not. You're poison intolerant. That's what's going on. And it's really interesting that people don't get it. So once people start to get it, things are going to change, and that's what needs to change now. And that's why I'm doing a lot of YouTube shows. I'm doing my own channel and really going for it, because we are sitting at a time where a lot of people, I think the joke is stuck on stupid.
Yep.
Scary.
I believe it.
I got another one. If you were to change the name of crop circles and stop calling them crop circles and more of like frequency communication or something like that, do you think
People
that would help?
Oh, you mean
with the change, right? Because when you hear the term crop circles, like, yeah, it sounds cliche, right? But with everything you just said, I think if we stopped calling them crop circles and thought up of another term, that'd be pretty cool.
I
for all
call
your
it the
stuff.
multi-communication tool.
Yeah,
The
there
ultimate communication tool. Because, if you think that we can talk to other dimensionals, that we could co-create a crop circle with the Earth. And the interesting thing is that I have so much evidence, me being one. And it's one of the stories in Crop Circle Diaries that was really pretty shocking. But when you see it with photos and you realize, wait a minute, those are real, then it hits you. This really does happen with humans having a focus and then it manifesting in a crop circle. And probably because I've been so committed, the circle makers in England gave me a crop circle, and bear with me if I act like it's mine, but I certainly related to the one in 2012 where I had a 3-hour regression in Glastonbury one year. They showed my movie at the Glastonbury Symposium, and then when I introduced it, I mentioned my contact experience and that my boyfriend, he saw everything, and I didn't get to, and he couldn't wake me up, and he shook the bed, and there was stuff on the floor, that proved he hit the bed, and the headboard was hitting the wall, and he couldn't wake me up, and he's yelling, and he couldn't wake me up. And I was jealous for 6 years, and Mary Rodwell, who's done many regressions, looked at me, and she goes, really? you don't realize that it wasn't about him, it was about you. You were taken. And for 6 years, I was like, why him, not me? Why did he get to see it? It's like, because you were gone, Patty, knock, knock. So I think a lot of people are having experiences and don't even realize it, because that was mine when I went, oh, my God, no, that never crossed my mind. So when I finally realized it, I did a 3-hour regression with Mary, and I had my boyfriend set up my movie camera, and we filmed 3 hours, but I didn't even have to watch it again. Once I went there, I'll never forget it because I totally remembered. And it's going to sound very woo-woo, so it's hard. I don't want to describe it, but ultimately it was underwater, and it was a crystal castle with 5 rectangle pillars and a star on the top center of one. I'm in very clear memory.
Wow.
So I remember it was the Crystal Castle, and it was, quite the regression. So 2 years later, I'm at my house in the mountains, and a friend comes over, and she shows me this work of a great artist. She just loved his work, Ariel Ali, A-L-I. And he does this unbelievable colors like we forgot happened and exist. But there are these etheric places that, and every photo gets better. But when she got to the 3rd photo, it took my breath away, and I started to almost not be able to breathe. And I said, who is this guy? Where is this place? Oh, my God. It was the Crystal Castle. And it had 5 rectangles and a star on top. And I looked at it, and it was just, I just recognized it. And it was magical. I'd never seen art like it. It was completely out of this world. And I went to his website, and his phone number was there. I was like, come on, this easy? So I thought in the morning, I'm definitely calling this guy to ask some questions. So I get up in the morning, and I make coffee, and I sit down, and I open my emails, and I belong to the Crop Circle Connector. So if there's a new crop circle anywhere in the world, I'll get an email first thing in the morning with photos, ground shots, descriptions, comments, and I wake up, ooh, a new crop circle. So I open it up to see what it is, and to my surprise, it was a crystal castle with 5 pillars and a star on top, and it had 5 long stems coming out, one out of the center of each base of the pillar, with a teardrop, not a circle, a teardrop of water, in other words. There was not one circle anywhere in this formation, and I'm staring at this thing going, oh, my God. I felt like it was a confirmation to me for all the work I've done. Thanks, love you, Earth. And it was saying to me, yes, you do remember. This is where, and I'm telling you, you try and get me to not believe any of this, forget about it. So I'm like totally stumped. My friend shows up, from the guest room an hour later, and I'm staring, and she's just, are you still stuck from last night? And I said, no, look at the new crop circle today. And she looks, and she's stumped too. She's like, oh my God, that's the Crystal Castle. And I said, mm-hmm. Look at the teardrops. That's water. That is not a crop circle. That's a crop teardrop. Oh my God. So I've gone through all the crop circles of the summer. There's been like 50. Every single one had a circle except the Crystal Castle. And I said, this one's an exception. And I don't want to sound like, oh, pat on my shoulder, if they're talking to me, because that's so rude. But the next day I wake up, and there was a huge circle with a goddess symbol inside it. And
I could see it. It's on. I'm on.
That's
Google.
about it,
I'm on
folks.
Google.
And I have all
see
the
it.
photos to prove it. So for me, I realized that even I had one, and that one took my breath away twice.
Wow.
That is cool. Really cool.
So,
And it's in my movie Crop Circle Diaries. It's one of the stories.
so
And so what we have is human thought communicating with the circle makers, which is the energies, the frequencies, which is the earth and the water and us. But it's the multi-mind of humanity, our mega frequency, all of us together, they call it they've got all these different names. The Schumann frequency, they're saying it's so high now, but who knows what that is? I don't. What I know is that we are alive, the earth is alive, and we do work together energetically. And those of us that are working in a higher etheric field intentionally and living away from a lot of society, which I live in the woods with a lot of wildlife, I feel like my priority is to focus on this frequency of information rather than being in social places that are really busy and frenetic. I just don't do that very well anymore. So I love what I do. I feel really blessed that I've been in this many crop circles, but also to know that we have the possibility to bring our food supply back like that.
Wow.
We just have to get it that working with the plasma field, we're going to be able to reproduce what we want, kind of like 3D printing, but we won't need a machine. So what Penny said is that working with the plasma field, once we learn to measure plasma, we're going to be able to manipulate it and then reproduce. And when you spin it, then you can recreate a lot of these fields. So it's a really beautiful technology as long as it doesn't get in the wrong hands. And if it's spun counterclockwise, it can destroy matter.
What do you... we're almost at our time. I want to ask you about the NVIDIA crop circle that occurred not too far from where we're at, near the Bay Area. Gilroy, I believe it was.
Oh, my God. I love it that you asked me that. That is one of my dessert memories. I took... a guy writes me on Facebook private message, and he goes, "Hi, I really love your work, blah, blah, blah. I live in California, and I just wanted to friend you and tell you, he's just kind of warming up, being my friend. Really nice to meet you. Thank you." I get up in the morning, and I get this all capital letters, "Oh, my God, I met you last night, and now there's a crop circle 2 hours from my house. I'm headed to see the NVIDIA crop circle." He didn't call it. He called it crop circle in Salinas, California.
Salinas. You got it right.
Yeah. So I read this first thing in the morning, and I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. And then he sends me a photo, and I'm like, what? Excuse me, screaming. But that was a friggin' amazing crop circle. So I have such a backstage pass to this one, and nobody's talked about it, so I'm really glad you asked. Were you there, either of you?
No, but we talked about it on the show a lot, trying to piece it all together.
Check this out.
We
You're
actually
gonna love
drove by it, though.
Spill it.
This guy was there. So he drives there, and I don't hear from him all day, and I'm just like pacing, like, oh my God, what is that? And I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm looking at it, and it's totally like okay, so anyway, the punchline turned out that it was an advanced technology Sony, oh God, I should write it down what it really was, but it was something for a telescope where you could see multi-dimensional, and it's one of these new Sony telescopes. That's ultimately what I believe the schematic is of that crop circle. But physically on the ground, third dimensional, here's what happened. So this guy, whose name I won't mention, writes me, and I'm like waiting to hear back from him. Hours later, he writes me a pretty detailed description. He goes, I got to the area, and the place was surrounded by white military vans. They would not, yeah. He said they would not let anybody in the field at all. And he said he waited there with a lot of people. So he said that all of a sudden tractors came in and mowed up all of the crop and the roots and put them in semis that drove away with them.
What? Okay, we don't live that far from here.
That's totally opposite of what we heard too.
Yeah, I mean, we're like an hour from there where this crop circle occurred, and we were. Our news feeds down here we were firsthand, so we were watching it all, happen. Obviously, it was said to be a promotional thing for NVIDIA's new processor, for one thing. And since it was close to Silicon Valley, that's why they chose that field. But what blew us away was that the engineers of who held the patent to that particular processor were on the airplane that disappeared. Did you hear anything about that?
Oh, my. No, but I do have one more punchline. No, that's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it left only one shareholder.
Right.
Or one patent holder.
Right. Look that up. But the patent, the 5 engineers who held the patent to that processor were on the Malaysia airplane that's disappeared.
Wowzers. Well, what I know is I live in Colorado, and the news of that crop circle was really interesting to see because they said, here's the owner of NVIDIA, and he's got his arm around Team Satan, who is an English crop circle human circle maker, and they made it for his promotional tool. And I've heard of Team Satan, so it was like, oh, great, look what they're making it look like. But that was a very impressive crop circle, and I'm not buying it. But NVIDIA had some executive that had his arm around some guy that supposedly was from this human circle-making team. What fascinated me was about a week later, my nephew calls me from California and says, hey, Aunt Patty, did you hear about the California crop circle? And I said, why don't you tell me what you heard, pretending I knew nothing. And this kid is like totally computer nerd. And he said, well, we had this crop circle that was in Salinas, California, and turns out it was, let me think exactly what he said. Turns out it was the local college art project that they did for NVIDIA. And I said, wait, what'd you say? He said, yeah, it was on the news that it was like a local team that was doing, so it was a completely different story. It wasn't the professional team from England that came in. It was like art students here at a college.
Now, that's not what I heard. I heard what you just said, that they flew in these guys from I think it was from England, I believe. And that's what I heard. And they hired them to do the promotional of the NVIDIA processor. That I want to say is correct, what I heard from my sources. But I did not hear anything about the white military band and the trucks. I didn't hear anything of that. I didn't see any pictures of that. And I'm the guy on the West Coast. If that would have happened, I would have gotten some type of photographic evidence or videos, but I didn't get anything like that.
Well, I might have to hook you up with him to have a conversation.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Dog in the wheel, my friend.
Abso-freaking-lutely. I want to talk to him.
You know what's really...
Yeah. No, he was... God, it's going to be work to remember his name, but I will. Okay. And if he's listening to this show, call Mr. Gonzalez here, kiddo.
Yes, please. I want to.
You know, that was a special processor. Like now we're all familiar. Like at that time, the highest processor was like a quad core, right? 4 cores inside of a processor. That one was the plans to a processor with 500 cores.
So we're talking just so advanced, it's not even funny.
That's what that
so
was.
So it's the new Sony, right?
Yeah, and it would be fitting in a cell phone.
Oh, this is what I heard, and it sounds like what you're saying. So what's interesting is this is how we're going to evolve, is when smart people who actually really care get together and start talking. It's moments like this where I heard this from somebody I trust, and you heard that from somebody you trust, and then the pieces start settling in this beautiful puzzle, and we start to say, I get it.
Right.
So,
okay, my next question is then who made that crop circle, and for what purpose? To warn us?
I wonder if it was warning the 5 patent holders.
But
like, don't get on the plane. I mean, how would they know? I don't know, but that's interesting.
Now you got me thinking, Patty.
Well, I think we do have a lot that are warnings. Right. And what's interesting for me is that when I signed my contract that locked away my first 4 movies for 10 years, bad mistake on my part, and I was so green that I had no idea what I was doing in the movie distribution field, and I just fell into the mine hole. But right before I did, I was in England filming, and all of a sudden this crop circle appeared 45 minutes north of Avebury. Now, as a crop circle filmmaker, when you're paying by the 15 minutes, like 80 pounds for 15 minutes, or 40 pounds, I can't remember, but it was expensive when a pound is $2.11. I mean, I remember a couple summers it was really high. So it's expensive to fly in those little microlights when I filmed, but nobody, hardly, because there's so many right there in the Avebury area, that nobody hardly pays the pilot to fly 20, 30, 40 minutes, God forbid, to one crop circle anywhere else. But I saw that there was a crop circle 45 minutes away that was the logo of my new distributors. And I thought, oh my God, what an omen. And so I paid a pilot friggin' $360, I remember, to fly 45 minutes each way so I could film this crop circle and take photos to the closing of my movie deal. And here I am now, 6.5 years later, realizing it was the biggest mistake of my life. And the beautiful mother and the water and the consciousness of humanity and all the other elementals who actually care about humanity and me.
They were warning you.
You actually were, it was a warning.
Yeah, that's what it
And
was.
I dropped tons of money to go fly up there and totally not get it when it was in my face, flashing, flashing. And instead I went, oh, la, la, la. And I go and sign my deal with these big glossies of their logo thinking, oh, my God, they're going to love this. And they didn't. And I was like, wait a minute. That didn't happen. So anyway.
Wow. Wow.
It's about not only being in the moment with all this magic, but it's about recognizing what's going on, such as what I missed.
Right.
And I think that's what's going on with a lot of us, is that the magic is right in front of us, but we have to step back every now and then and go, oh,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You have to listen and watch the signs out there. You know, the powers of be are like, you know, what we're doing here, Patty, just like what you're doing there. We're trying to spread the news and tell the truth, because, you know, there's so much going on out there that people need to know. And I think we just need to keep doing what we're doing, especially you on your crop circles. You know, it's fascinating, especially the NVIDIA thing, and that totally trips me out.
Well, did you say you've seen some of the movies or just the trailers?
No, just the trailers.
Well, wait till you try a movie on. Woo-hoo!
Yeah, I can't wait.
I mean, you'll feel like you're in the formations. That's what it's about. You know, if you can't get to England and you don't want to do all the work to fly in those little planes and do all that, it's the next best thing, because right now it's become very difficult to go in the crop circles. And when I told you, I think they closed our research center last year.
The government?
In the epicenter, there's no more research center. And the store that had all the crop circle stuff doesn't carry crop circle stuff anymore, and actually said, oh, no, mate, that people aren't into it anymore. And I'm like, what? You're the only store in the Avebury Stone Circle. What? So there's something going on that's just like complete, I don't want to say mind control, but I'm like, what? I got to tell you, it doesn't make sense.
Wow.
So, and there's so much evidence of real suppression of this phenomenon in particular, because, again, I'm going to say, of all the UFO phenomenon, nothing has left more physical evidence than crop circles.
Right.
Acres of it.
Wow. That's true.
Very true, though.
Yeah.
And it goes back a long time, too. A long time.
Right. All right,
Yep.
Patty, man, we've had you on for an hour and 15 minutes with no commercials. Thank you very much for coming on my show. I appreciate it a lot. Could you please tell everybody your website again and how to get your movies?
You bet. My movies are available on Amazon, but also on my website, cropcirclefilms.com. You can see trailers, gorgeous photos of crop circles, cropcirclefilms.com, and my store there has everything. You can stream the movies, $5 for a week, or I send you DVDs.
Patty, could we use you as a correspondence reporter? So if something pops up that needs to be told to the world, could you please let us know about it so we can get you on the air and talk about it right away?
Well, if you call me, I'll most likely answer and say, dang yes.
Awesome. Okay, so
And if she has anything pop up.
well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
If you happen to know of something just extraordinary that just occurred involving a crop circle anywhere in the world, please let us know about it, and we'll get you on the air and so we can talk about it and go from there. Okay?
Well, the one that I'll mention is the most recent one, and I did have a very strong feeling about it. And it's in a place called Monarch. Oh God, was it Monarch Way? But it's August 7th, and it's the newest crop circle that showed up. And I look at the photo, and it's this gorgeous crop circle of woven wheat. Now, August 8th, it is so brittle. There's no way on earth you can weave that crop. But this huge circle of gorgeous woven wheat is, to me, absolutely phenomenal. And I would imagine blown nodes everywhere. And then off it is this completely sloppy line of circles on its way to a tree. What I see when I look at all the photos is that we have this phenomenal crop circle of woven, which is really rare in brittleness like that, of gorgeous symmetry. And then some human team came in and said, we got to mess this up. And that's exactly what they did.
Oh,
that's what I saw. And in the very first crop circle I ever went in, that's what I saw. The farmer had hacked up the center a teeny bit. But I think that we're so close to the evolution of our consciousness and our species that we are that close that people are really trying to hide the good stuff, which in my opinion, crop circles is as good as it gets because the evidence is clear. And it's going to help us bring back the food supply and grow food where it's too hot and too cold. So cropcirclefilms.com, my Indiegogo will help us get the funding for the technology to get out and the movies to be exposed. So hopefully people will support the work because it has never been more important to save our food supply.
Absolutely. One more quick question. Do you think the movie Field of Dreams, the writer of that, had anything to was using maybe crop circles as a part of it, being in a cornfield, being very magical?
I think the magic was lovely, and it's just kind of like tiptoeing.
Mm-hmm.
But, frankly, I kind of like being the one to bring the thunder down and just say, here's the science. Let's fix the food.
Okay. Right.
Field of Dreams, Signs, they were all like tiptoeing into, this is happening. Yeah, you're about to see more of it. And, so I think we're really there at the door where people are going to be telling the truth. And the truth is we're about to shift into the greatest time humanity's ever seen. And we're going to have free energy and healthy food again and clean water. And we're not going to see all these things that we call conspiracy theories. I had to dig for the word, because like trying to tell people the truth is like you look at somebody and say chemtrail and they give you this ridiculous look. It's like, oh, seriously, we're really going back to first grade. So we can't be doing that. We all have to really be present and fix what's going on so we can have our beautiful planet back.
Absolutely. I agree. All right, Patty, thank you very much for coming on tonight. I appreciate it, and I hope that we will talk to you very soon, okay?
Thank you. Happy trails, and thanks for doing what you do.
Thank you, Patty.
Bye,
You
Patty.
too as well. Take care.
It was good meeting you.
You too. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. Almost an hour and 40.
I tell you,
minutes.
she's not far off when she says that real soon we're seeing some big changes.
Mm-hmm.
I think when the eclipse goes by, I have a feeling there's going to be something they can't hide, and we're all going to see something. So everybody be watching the the skies
21st.
on the 21st.
Yeah. So go buy your glasses at the dollar store if they're genuine or not. But I know for a fact that 7-Eleven in Fresno has them on the counters for $2.99 for 2 sets, 2 glasses, and they have the markings on them that state that they are the real deal. All right, just that way you don't burn your iris out and go blind, because you have to look into protective lenses in order to see, the eclipse. Don't look at the eclipse without any filters. Trust me, don't do it, you guys. You will hurt your eyes. Okay. All right, we only got like 10 minutes left.
I'm not even going to look at it. I'm going to look around it.
Thank you. Thank you, Patty, for coming on tonight. I appreciate it. That was very, very fun. Learned a lot. She actually answered some of my questions. The NVIDIA thing really took me for a loop. I'm like, I didn't hear about the government showing up there. It's telling me that something that they didn't want us to see, that obviously for a reason, that the 500, the processor itself is going to change the world.
Well, I remember we went, I think, to San Leandro on one of the weekends when that was happening, and when we went by there was guys on ladders and stuff like that taking pictures.
What? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
We went to San Leandro. It was like a week after or something like that.
Oh.
Of that.
That I don't remember. So, okay. Really quick. A couple of other things that's happening in the Fresno area that I think you guys should know about that is really weird. We had Michael in here who is doing is filming or now editing the movie Avocado Lake, about the drownings in the water. I really didn't piece all this together, but, for some reason, the water in the valley is very bad, very evil. Let's go back to the mountains. We have a lot of missing people, Yosemite, Sierras, but they tend to turn up, and when they are found, where are they found?
In the water.
In the freaking water, all right? In the water. In Avocado Lake, drowning like crazy in the water. Obviously, you have to drown in the water. But here in the valley floor in Fresno, for the past couple of years, there's been a lot of drownings in our canals. One drowning that really piqued my interest just occurred a week ago. About a week and a half ago, a girl, 22 years old, very young, her name was Lucy, at early morning hours of 1 or 2 o'clock had gotten into a screaming match with her family, and she left and started walking down, I believe it was McKinley Avenue. And we have a canal down at McKinley and Milbourne Avenue. And supposedly she was walking along that canal, and she was on the cell phone with her boyfriend. And her boyfriend was talking to her, and this was like 1:30, 2 o'clock. I guess he was trying to convince her to come back home. But he states he heard her say, "Oh, shit!" And that's the last thing he heard. Okay. Her search party, they thought that, okay, she fell in the canal or something happened to her. For a week and a half, they were trying to find what happened to her. But in the background, Fresno PD had already found that the day after she went missing, somebody was already using her credit cards and her ATM cards, okay? So somebody had found her purse. So they thought, okay, foul play is involved, a robbery, probably. Well, they started searching the canals, meaning that where she possibly went into the water, what they need to do is probably go downstream and start fishing for her body, which they started doing. And they found her body about a couple of miles down. Her body was basically underwater, and they had a tough time bringing her up. Chief Dyer, once they found the body and ID'd her, said that the people who used her credit cards were not suspects in her death. But yet her purse was found on the canal. So let's think about this, guys. If a lady had her purse on her, which Lucy did, not knowing what type of purse, it could have been maybe a type of strap that went around her shoulder, how they carry their purses, or she was holding her purse. If it was a robbery, a person would have came up to her, probably hit her, taken her purse, and pushed her into the canal, and probably wounded her, where she drowned. But the coroner said there was no foul play, there was no injuries on her body whatsoever. Yet her purse was found on the canal, the walkway. Now, if there was a robbery involved, again, the purse was found the day after she fell into the canal. The chief dyer of the Fresno PD has already said these people who have her credit cards are not suspects. So it was not a robbery. You guys follow me? There's no way that if the person who pushed her into the canal should have taken that purse and should have taken the purse and went and did whatever with it. But that's not the case. The people who found the purse said they found the purse on the canal. Therefore, to me, there is no robbery involved. Okay, so how does a person fall into the canal, especially a woman, with not taking her purse with her? Let's say she's walking and accidentally slips and falls in. Oh, well, her purse is going to go in with her. Yet her purse did not go into the canal. So my theory, either we have somebody, a serial killer, who is doing this on purpose and doesn't give a shit about the money situation and hit her and left the purse up, or something pulled her into the canal. So think about that when I say pulled her in, because several other deaths occurred in the same place where she fell in. I believe 2 or 3 other drownings occurred in the same place.
Okay, so like when I was a kid growing up in school, the kids would tell me, especially the Hispanic kids, water babies, only they had a different name for it. Could it be that?
Well, you remember, let's go back to Lucy. So if for some reason something grabbed her by the ankles and was pulling her in to the canal, her hands are probably on top of the canal trying to, claw her, and if she had her purse in her hand, therefore that's the reason why the purse was left on top of the canal as she was trying to, whatever it was, pulling her into the canal. They also stated, I think it was like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, a gentleman was brushing his teeth in the canal and accidentally fell in and drowned. That's what the report says.
In that canal. That canal has cement sides.
In that canal.
You can't get down to there to.
Okay. Now remember, these canals, they all pretty much connect to each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm not saying this is Bigfoot, guys. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is Bigfoot at all. But another drowning occurred last year at Chestnut and Maple, where an elderly Asian lady, about 86 years old, walking along the canal, went missing. They found her dead in the canal. Okay. A gentleman west side of Fresno who was jogging along the canal was training for a marathon, and they found his body in the canal, but this time they found dog marks on him. And they left it at that. They said, okay, he got killed by a pack of dogs.
I mean, he could have fell in trying to get away from the dogs. You know what I mean? Like fighting them off and then fall in.
Sure. Okay.
I mean, could have.
Could have. But what I'm saying here is that Google, people, all you out there, Google drownings, canals, Fresno, California, and see how many come up. For some reason, I mean, if I were to walk along a canal, I'm pretty smart, common sense person not to freaking fall into a canal. Sorry, I mean, I'm not that stupid. I'm not going to fall into a canal.
See, I think the same thing. Like, you see people walking it all the time. I grew up walking the canal.
Yeah.
I grew up swimming in it.
Even if you fall in, you could probably yell for help. Depending on the size, the time of day. Granted, these other, drownings were at nighttime, which I find pretty weird. Another person, matter of fact, right here at Kings Canyon and Armstrong Avenue, a gentleman was walking. They found his body in a canal near Sanger. This was a month ago.
See, I always wondered, like, when I was a kid, and the sheriff would come out and we would get in trouble for trespassing, but not swimming in the canal. Okay. I mean, we had rope swings and all kinds of stuff.
These people aren't swimming; they're walking near a canal, and all of a sudden they find them dead in a canal.
But then, when I was in my 20s, they made a law that you can't swim in the canal. I mean, and we got busted. And after a couple times, we were like, we didn't get a ticket or anything or arrested, but every time we got in the canal, somebody would call the cops, and we were told to get out of the canal and stay out of the canal. And then they painted, no swimming in the canal, all this stuff. Like, did something happen back then, or get in the canal back then, and it's been going in the canals ever since then?
I'm not saying what it is because I don't know what it is. I'm not going to assume, but I just find it interesting
they say
that
La Llorona or
we're having a lot of drownings in water now. As of yesterday, an article in the Fresno or the news they just announced that in the Tower District they are finding animals all over the place that are either been beheaded and skinned around the Tower District where these canals are near. All right? Google it. It's there. Matter of fact, I think I posted it on my Facebook wall if you want to go back and listen and watch or read it. It's there. It was there yesterday, I think.
That's weird.
So Fresno, guys, it's just trippy. This is the trippy city. There's so many things that are going on. Monsters, missing people drowning in canals, and they're just dismissing it as, oh, she fell in. It wasn't a robbery. Oops. She wasn't drinking. She fell in the canal and drowned. Come on.
Only if you're like this and you're not paying attention.
Well,
and then all of a sudden you fall in because you're doing this.
Right. There's something going on here, you guys, and they're keeping it hush-hush. And, I'm going to try to give you guys, whenever something like this comes up again, I will let you know if there's another drowning. There are missing hikers now. Again, I posted it on my Facebook wall. A pair of missing hikers never made it to Yosemite. There's just people going missing all the freaking time, you guys. Just Google missing people. I mean, just every other day there's people going missing that shouldn't be going missing. What is going on here? What is going on?
Like this guy, Carrie, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, but those are probably gangs beheading the animals. Why?
Why would gangs
they wouldn't do that.
No, come on. That doesn't make any sense.
If that was the case, they would already been doing it for a long time, and we would know.
Yeah, they just started.
Because we have lots of gangs here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, so that ain't happening. Maybe satanic rituals of some type. Maybe.
That could be maybe.
Okay, but something fishy is going on here in Fresno. All right, and just I don't know. Just do some Googling, research. Missing people, drownings, canals, Bigfoots. God, it's all over the place. We're all over the place. Ryan?
Really, like, all the stuff is happening more.
Take us out of here, Ryan.
More UFOs, more Bigfoots, more Dogman sightings. I mean, like, everything's on the rise.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. It's exciting. Things are happening every single day. And it's, this is the place to be for Paranormal Central because it's happening here, man. And we're going to keep bringing it to you. So for Ellen, and you know what we didn't say, but Isaac is in the house.
Say hi, Isaac.
Hello, everyone.
So he was just kicking it. He came to. Well, we didn't even talk about the run. He went to the search and rescue run, Bigfoot run. So, but anyways, okay. Well, for Mr. Ryan behind the keys, Mr. Alan Thomas, for myself, Jeffrey Gonzalez. Thank you very much for showing up, and Patty Greer. thank you very much for coming in and talking to us. We really appreciate it. We guys will see you next
Bye,
week.
Patty Greer.
And hopefully something exciting again will happen. I'm sure of it. It always does at Paranormal Central. Take care.
Does.
See ya. Bye.